and we're from Africa. Why shortchange yourself? One moment we're from African and do things African. The next moment you're quoting fucking books that say we were in America, we were here already. Wouldn't that tell you the fucking planet is ours? This was one continent. It was, even if it wasn't one continent, continental drift is a fact. And you saying we were here for millions of years? Was there even a place called Africa then? This whole place is ours. This universe is ours. We're a reflection of all things. All things in this universe is ours. So if you're not thinking on that level, in my world, you're not as holistic as you're saying.
African American, there's no such animal. Yeah. So we're not citizens. Number one, also too, even Whoopi Goldberg said this, and she was right. When we bought the African American term, we cut out all of the Caribbean, right, all of South America, right, all of Latin America, right, all of Africa. And this is another way to reclassify you, you see what I'm saying, outside of power. And so, to disconnect you from right. So the concept here is when you say that, that's a political move that was put in by the government to break you down to this subclass, you see, and not be a world community. And my point here is you're still a world community. I can see if you chose to come over here, then a person can say, well, since you chose to come over here, you're not necessarily, some Europeans can't say that they are part of Europe because they chose to come over here. But a person who didn't choose to come over here, that means that you're part of a greater global community. Because that means you are, whether you are hostage or whatever, you're still a part of a greater global community. So to call you an African American is to disconnect you from that global community and that great diaspora that we was talking about. So that's a political move.
I'm going to tell people there's no such thing as African American. There is no continent that's linked with a country that you were born. American, being an American, is a nation, nationality. It is a country. It's not a continent, it's a country. North America is the continent. So you can't link a continent with a country. Africa, continent, America, country.
Country, hey,
Come
I love
on. It. You wasn't born in, where's that hyphen land at? There's no hyphen land where you were born that was called that.
I love it. You speaking facts.
The Europeans are currently doing all this DNA and genetic testing and tracing. Let them tell it. Everybody's traced back to Africa through Lucy. Yeah. So if I ain't a real Indian because I'm traced to Africa, you ain't a real Indian because you traced there too. That's right. That's right. The ancestors told me to tell you guys, don't get bent about it because they ain't talking about nothing. They're just doing that to upset you and throw your frequency off. Because when you get a little angry, your frequency gets a little distorted and your thoughts get a little scattered. They said, don't listen to the pink man and what he's talking about. Don't follow him and what he's doing. Just stay on your focus. Stay in your 360 degrees because you have to be an unmoved mover, which means you cannot be moved by him and his games and his garbage.
You niggas are universal beings, and your humanity is a global being. You touch, sniff, farted on every stitch of this goddamn planet. You are not from Africa. That's what white people mind controlled you into. So you could say, well, if we're from Africa, they must be from Europe. No, they're from nowhere. They're a transient entity that was created here and cause havoc everywhere they go. Those are the facts.
That black people was in all of the land. That they were not just stolen from Africa, but they were stolen from all the other countries and land mass. And a majority of them were stolen from up north. It's because the whites had been lying to the black people, telling them they were African Americans. Right. Well, you're not a place. Africa is a place. It's a nation.
It is.
It's not a race. There are white people born in Africa. So they're African Americans. America take all of the affirmative action money in schools that black people can't get here because you can't prove you came from no Africa. You know what I'm saying? You can't prove that you came from Africa. There are no records, and a lot of the Jews and whites were ship owners. There is no manifest showing where they got these slaves from.
The word African Americans, there are 52 countries in Africa. You with me?
Yeah.
So, which country are you talking about? 52 nation states in Africa. Jesse Jackson coined the word African Americans. But what was there ever a referendum that says we all agree to call ourselves Negro, call it black? What was the referendum that we voted on this? We just gave people threw names on us and we just accepted it. I said, wait a minute. Okay. You know, Dr. Claude talked about that what? We are a nation within a nation searching for a what? Nationality. Remember that? Okay. Talked about it all along. But what I found is when you study etymology, okay, when you study etymology, law, you can trace those words back, okay?
This is the father of Afrocentrism. This is the first generation of so-called blacks given this anthropological idea of the coming out of Africa theory and all this other shit coming to you from a Jew, from a Jewish person. Another Jewish person telling you about your history. When these niggas when we just read about Salisbury, and it says that they had no knowledge of what plantation life and none of that shit was really like. Oh, don't talk about Africa that way. Yeah, that shit don't matter. It's not, you ain't from that shit. That's just a place. Your mentality is from here. Embrace that shit. Stop being scared to be you. You chose to come to America, nigga. You should have been born in Africa. You want to be African. God.
We was not enslaved. We're not slaves. We did not come from that. Not saying that there are some people who did come from that. They did. You know, they do have that history, but that doesn't mean that they brought us from Africa. That just simply means that they could have captured you along the coast.
Many of the people on Earth that are dark-skinned did not originate in Africa in the main necessarily so. As this Nemito has told you about.
Look at this. Unless you are, and you know for a fact that you are, the descendant of somebody that was brought here from Africa as a slave, stop claiming that, because most of you are not descendants of people that were brought here from Africa as slaves. During the whole entire slave trade, less than 3% of all the slaves traded, less than 3% of them were brought here from Africa. There were more people brought from here to Africa and from here to Europe and from South America to North America and from South and North America to the Caribbean islands and so on and back again and that kind of thing. But not that many people were brought here from Africa as slaves on any slave ship. Now, if in fact your ancestors are amongst those people, then claim it and claim it with pride, because they survived. But stop claiming things that you have no evidence of just because somebody told you in school that that is your story, because they said it's not your story. It's not. Some of our people were captured here and enslaved here and tricked into servitude and tricked out of their properties through these servitudes, but it was not slavery as you know it today or you think you know it. So they don't want you to claim that unless it applies to you. It's like, well, I know for a fact that my great-great-grandfather so-and-so was brought here as a slave because my mama told me, and this, that's different. But most people can't find no evidence of that. I saw 2 or 3 hands go up. Where the, yes.
You're an international human being. You have always been one. Start acting like it. Quit letting somebody yank your strings and your chains.
Why would you take your ship all the way to Africa and you may not make it back because you got to have fresh water and food? You know, you might die before you get back. Why would you need to do that when black people are everywhere, when it's so convenient for you to take your ship up north, kidnap some black people, 12 years a slave people, look at the movie 12 Years a Slave, and bring and change their names from Kuti Kinte to Toby. enslave them in the South, because the South is the only place there were slaves at this particular time.
Yeah.
And Sojourner Truth and Harriet Tubman would come from up north to the South and steal them back and bring them back up north to where they were stolen from. And these two women's story has never been told how activists they were.
Wow.
You heard their names in history, but you don't even know what their journey and why they were so important.
Edge end of slavery, seemingly every 30 years, there's been a continuous cover-up of nationality, denationalization. We are the only people on the planet Earth in the last 100 years to change our names, artificial labels 4 times.
Come on.
Right, and that brings on the whole reason why they thought they discovered. They knew exactly what they were doing when they was coming over here. They knew that the women that were here held the codes that had more memory, because these lands predate the fall of Atlantis. The lands over there came after the fall of Atlantis, right?
Yes.
So they rewrote stories over there that actually originated over here.
Yes.
So the 13 prototypes of women here, going from the Washita woman,
yes,
the Mississippian woman,
yes,
the Creole woman,
yes,
the Caribbean woman, the Cheetah woman, known as the Mexican woman along the Yucatan Peninsula, the Brazilian woman, the real Amazonian woman, because the Amazons are over here.
Here, absolutely.
The codes that's even stronger than the ones over there. And so as long as they can keep us looking that way, you don't even look at the divine sisters that's holding these concentrated tones, frequencies. You just spoke like I'm just sitting here alone with y'all. I'm like, look at this, what's going on right here. And I understand this is all we got from the books that were left and the remains that we have. But our memory is so ancient, and it's connected to that double X chromosome that existed on this realm long before any of them got here. So you were looking for more books. I wanted to shout it. Mama Zoe.
Because at first it's the sign of the humanitarian, it's the sign of evolution, and it's the sign of I know. Now it's time for us to come to our knowing as to who we truly are as the original indigenous people and of the Americas, the oldest land on the planet. We are the originals. And when they first came here, they saw women, warrior women, the Amazons and the Sibyls, like you said, they were still here. But they all describe the women that was ruling in the Americas, the most ancient land, Mama, the most ancient Mama Bass. And her scepter of power was connected to, I'm going to keep bringing it back, Wakanda Springs. Wakanda Springs was the magical waters of the Bass, Mama Bass. It sit on the border of Kansas. Okay? So that is why I study energy. And when I look at, you have to pull energy to create spirit.
Yes.
That's a combination. Physical is one, individual, and spirit is collective. So what I do is I look at energy at a higher perspective where we've pooled a big energy. So that is why I always do the symbolism when it comes to
because the Middle East and Italy and Rome and all through there throughout the New World. Not this is the old world over here in the Americas. The New World over there in the Middle East and Italy and Rome and all through there. The reason why I call that the New World is because after the Atlantean flood, that's where they started rebuilding. But little did they know we were still over here. But to say on to piggyback on what Sister Vicky is talking about, it was betrayal. It was a series of betrayals on how they felt. And yes, they knew that this was coming. You know, there are some things we're not supposed to pass on, but out of love. and out of concern, we teach our sons some of these mystery codes. We teach them some of these things, and they had, just like some of the Egyptians, had a habit of intermixing and intermingling.
Them to do that. See what I'm saying? This is really also why they want so bad for us to try to create this narrative that Moors are not from America. See what I mean? Because the so-called Indian tribes up until the Moors recently have only used to talk about the Indian treaties and how those affected them, you see what I'm saying, domestically. However, now that the Moors is building on stuff, they're starting to realize that they haven't been utilizing the international aspects of those treaties because they were cut off from that, because a lot of them were, suppressed the Moorish element in these so-called tribes once they were usurped. After the last real Tasalagi chief, Ramadan ibn Wati, was displaced as leader. And then after that, that's when they started the so-called Cherokee Wars, which was these federally funded amalgamated peoples using mercenaries to fight against the military, in which it came down to the Chickamauga having to come out and shut it all down. You know what I mean? Shut everybody down. Because they were still a part of the original Confederacy outside of the United States federal union that was now enforced on everybody. That technically was the renewed Roman Empire, being that the land that Washington, D.C. was built on was, again, named Rome. And not only was it a swamp, that it was also dedicated to them by a pope, a dude named Francis Pope, who was most likely a pope. You know what I mean?
According to the United Nations, indigenous people said those who have a historical continuity here in the Americas prior to the invasion of their territory by the Europeans. And it says, as well as those who was brought here to the New World and who wish to reattach themselves to their history, culture. So hold up. That means even those who was brought here to the New World, who, as they say, freed themselves in the definition of the United Nations, are also indigenous. So this debate between people who say that they are American or the people who say that they are just pure African, the fact is that according to the United Nations, we're both indigenous, and therefore that's the premise that we can work off of instead of the arguments. We're indigenous. We are the oldest people on planet Earth. This is what I proved through the presentation of the Pygmies, showing you that we was also the giants, we was also the Cushites, we was also the Ethiopians, we was also the Phoenicians, Canaanites, we was also on and on. We were also the Native Americans, we was also the Aborigine, we was also the African builders. Yeah. Right. We also the mound builders, we also the copper colored natives that was all the way up in goddamn Greenland.
Time to reclaim your nationality and your heritage.
Yeah, right.
That's the action step.
Right. And as I said in my video, we was all over the world. All right?
No doubt. Blessings. No. Yo, appreciate the information. It was an honor to be on with you tonight, God. Thank you.
Am I the black Indian or are you the black Indian? This is what the orchestras told me to tell you.
Come on.
And when they talk about the Indians of Negro ancestry from Africa, isn't that what they're saying? Mm-hmm. The orchestra told me to tell you this for them. The Europeans are currently doing all this DNA and genetic testing and tracing. Let them tell it everybody's traced back to Africa through Lucy. Yeah. So if I ain't a real Indian because I'm traced to Africa, you ain't a real Indian because you traced there too. That's right. That's right. The orchestras told me to tell you guys, don't get bent about it because they ain't talking about nothing. They're just doing that to upset you and throw your frequency off. Because when you get a little angry, your frequency gets a little distorted. and your thoughts get a little scattered. They said, don't listen to the pink man and what he's talking about. Don't follow him and what he's doing. Just stay on your focus. Stay in your 360 degrees, because you have to be an unmoved mover, which means you cannot be moved by him and his games and his garbage. Do you comprehend? All right. Now, there's something else.
So if they stole them from Africa, then they would have to take them back to Africa. But there was no need, because black people were from everywhere, all this landmass, all these different countries. Black people were the indigenous people right here in America.
So do you think
who we are as the original indigenous peoples or the autochthonous peoples? Those people, the Mongols who came over the land bridge, who's assuming to be the so-called Native American. They, the Native Americans, those are the first immigrants over here. They came down through the land bridge over the Bering Straits, down through Canaan or Canada, and into this portion of the United States, or what we call Amexem or Maricoa. And I have the quote from China's military head, the head of the military of China, boasted that we sent over our people to America back in those days, boasting that we were the ones that came over here and became the Native Americans. He said that. So the Mongols that you see that look like they're from China or Mongolia, nah, they ain't the Native Americans. That dances with wolves is bullshit.
Right. Is there anything to, since we're talking about Trump, last Trump?
I think that's a wonderful thing. If they're actually going into the Chickasaw, the Yamasee, the Yamacraw, and they're getting into these peoples who were the originals, not these people that you see looking like the Mongolians or these $5 Indians. No.
No. Somebody wants to know.
I love it. Wow. I love it when these young brothers is coming. That's what I'm telling you. There's a swell of what we've been putting out there.
Kevin Gates.
We did. It's finally coming to bear, man. You know, all the work that we put out there, we're hearing it in the young people, and they don't give a flying you know what. Who knows it? And we need that kind of unabashed energy. You remember, guys, when we were younger, we didn't care what it is. We were going all blasting. And every time I try to, go back to some of my tapes, and my poor wife has to listen to some of the very, colorful words that would come out of my mouth when I was explaining things. It's like, oh, I don't think that I'm going to expose my Greek.
Many people came over here and did the sex trafficking thing, but no, there was no real slavery. It was sex trafficking. The president of the United States in the 1865, Lincoln, that's why he's on a bronze penny. That's why he's black on a penny. He was a black man. So if the president is black, there could be no slavery. They were fighting. The North and South was fighting over economics. They were fighting over money, and they didn't want to be seen that way. So they brought in the slave thing. But many cadets from West Point, I went to West Point when I was a teenager, many black cadets were actually in the military, the Union, that fought against the Confederacy. And all of them had gone to school together. So there was no slavery. It was just sex trafficking, where they were just kidnapping people. Like when you see in the movie Roots, my name is Kuti Kinte, it's not Toby. If he used his name Kuti Kinte, his family is going to find him. But if he used Toby, they got him in a book as a slave and bring him back. Understand that. There was no slavery. Every slavery upon the earth was sex trafficking, looking for humans to be chattel, free labor. And free labor made a lot of money, which it does right now. But go back and look, check your facts. Lincoln was a black man. He's the only president that's copper on a copper penny. He's black on a copper penny. Look at the pennies. You don't see any white people. That's right. You don't see any white presidents on any copper coin. Okay.
I love it.
And on the lesser denominations of money are all the black presidents: Eisenhower, Thomas Jefferson, Andrew Jackson, They were all black presidents. You can pull it up. Hanson was the first black president. The Moor means black, just like Blanca means white. That's all.
I love it.
Go look it up. And the first White House wasn't a White House, it was a black house. They burnt it down in 1812. And then they erected what you see and call now the White House. And they told you a lie that George Washington was the first president. No, he was the first white president. He wasn't the first president, okay? He was the first white president that they recognized. But go back and look at all the presidents, and you can see who were black and white. Look at the histories. A lot of them was mulattoes. They had Indian and black blood, and they appeared to be white. Go back and take a look. Stop speaking things that people teach you and research. Do your research.
What we must. Charles Dickens actually wrote an article about this. This is a flex of muscle for the British Empire to say all across the world, look at what we, the Caucasian people, are capable of. But actually the buildings were built by people who were not Caucasian. They've whitewashed all of that. And a lot of these events had indigenous people on, labelled as savages in human zoos on display. So it was an opportunity to show the world, look at what we can build in less than a year. Look at the technology on display here, all by Caucasian people. And it was kind of a brainwashing exercise, really, to rewrite history. But a lot of people started questioning these buildings. Hold on a moment. You did all of this, acres of Greco-Roman buildings and canals and these incredible temples and palaces, just for an exhibition that nobody really went to, because that's all fictitious, the numbers of people, because there was nowhere to stay. There weren't even toilets there. You know, look at what we can do within 9 months. But once people started questioning it, they knew that it had a lifespan. So all of them were either demolished or had accidental fires. And some of them are actually bizarre. Some were built from glass, crystal palaces, built within 9 months. Crystal Palace in London, 264,000 panes of glass, all shipped by a barge from Birmingham to London. Yeah.
Where they fundamentally differed was where, of course, when they divided up and formed separate states, or withdrew, or to form separate societies, and developed different languages from the segmentation or separation from what had been a larger language group, so that there's no problem at all in understanding that you had one people occupying the continent without being under one single state.
Dr. Williams, based on your research of history.
To do the blood test and find out what your blood is, that's what they're hiding from you. They don't hide that swab from you. They got you confused with distractions, ignorance, and lies. Except for the word ignorance, and anybody can be a nigger. Ignorance. Come on, wake up and stop calling your name these names that you don't know what it means. You're demeaning and degrading yourselves and others.
I love it.
I hope I've wakened you up, because it's 3 minutes later.
We're not just Africans. By Dr. Clyde Winters, he breaks down that we are in a composite of Black nobility, royal families from out of Europe, Black families, Africans, and Black Native Americans. We are a composite of all three based over the last 400 years, with a sprinkling of Asian and European. But mostly our bloodline is from the royal nobilities of Europe, the Black Moors, Africans, or African Moors, and the Native American, Indigenous American bloodlines. This is we are a accumulation of all three, a combination of all three. All right. This is why you have to go back and study and read. This is very important. And this was a day of great, great sorrow for our people.
The foreign Moors came over here and did whatever, right? That's the story. But if that's the case, then why when these people got kicked out of Spain, why would they come to America? Why didn't they just go to Africa if that's where the Moors was from? And if so, how come none of the Africans or Moors or whatever came and dealt with them? Well, this is an old book. Sister Dina sent me a copy. Sent me the cover of it. The Discovery of America, which was an outgrowth of the conquest of the Moors by the Spaniards. You dig? So that's it, man. So basically, when Spain fell, the Moors over here who were connected to that fell as well. And when the Moors over there got deposed or expelled or whatever, part of the capitulation was that they had to share the energy or share the knowledge of the Moors and the empire over here. Ain't that what they did? Exactly.
Thousands of years, not just millions of years, not just billions of years, but trillions of years ago, according to the word of Almighty God Allah, to me, that we and our fathers were here. All right, here on planet Earth, throughout all 7 continents, as they are now referred to as. There is no birth record, meaning there is no beginning record of the Black people they have been here forever, and forever they have. We don't know nothing about their beginning. There is no prophecy of any ending of them. This is known. The world knows it. The Albion knows it, but he still tries to persist with population control agenda. He cannot get rid of us. We are called Bay kids. All right. Bay. And now that we know that we are bays, we are Bay kids for real. All right. And he writes, and this was in Master Farah Muhammad, not a silk peddler. All right. In another book called Black Root Science, it says stars are the condensation of the minds of our ancestors who came from the previous universe. So when you physically die, your mind, all right, goes into what is called the Orion Nebula, where it is born again and become a star up in the sky. Okay, this is seen on the movie.
The astrometric timetable of the Olmec Maya always, brothers and sisters, no matter what it is they try to push to you, know that the Olmec, or so-called Olmec, and the Maya essentially are Johnny-come-lately terminologies that have nothing to do with what's really going on in Mesoamerica. If I had the time, I would speak to you of sciences and information about the place that you now inhabit called the Americas that will blow your mind. Your ancestry, your DNA, your genetics are here. It didn't come from Africa, you've been here. And that's another part that we have not yet, coming out of the old school from our masters. That's something that only one that I've known of, that was Van Sertima, who actually promoted that at a very heavy thing when it came before Columbus. Now what I'm about to do is to show you, or give you a historicity, so that we could actually give you a sense of what it is that we were talking about when we were talking about it and asking you to deal in.
Yourself, myself included, there's a very good chance that we not only have the bloodline of those that were stolen from Africa post-1492, but we also have the bloodline of the original people that were here in America thousands of years ago. The people we today call Native Americans are really a 5th migration of human beings coming here, avoiding the Mongol invasions, Genghis Khan and them.
A 5th migration.
Say again?
A 5th migration.
The first migration was the Twa and Mbuti. Okay, the original. The next migration is probably going to come maybe a 20, 30, 40,000 years after that, they're known as the Clovis Folsom people.
Mm-hmm.
They are still an African people.
To truly deal with the hidden, because those who rule you, which are few in number, think cosmically when they oppress you. They think about cosmic events. I was going to pull up the Willie Lynch letter and find this part, but no need. You fucking need to read it yourself. There's a part that says, pretty much, I'll paraphrase. Once we let these niggas go, the social programming, this trauma that we laid upon this race of people will last hundreds of years to come. And listen, nothing will change unless there's an event that makes this change.
Because of their deficiency and who they are, they tend to project the worst of themselves onto others and say, see, that's who they are. Well, they've used that same type of psychosexual pathology to project themselves into Africa, to project themselves into places around the world where they're digging up in your graves, digging up places where people buried themselves and say that that's where I'm going to be forever. No, we were going into their grave. Imagine if we were going into Europe in their graveyards and start digging up in their graves. Well, they're in the graveyards of our people, but you see, they've got Arabs who are over there now, who are also part of the whole machinery of the Vatican. And you have a pontificating jackass named Awas, who's over there standing in front of the pyramids talking about his fucking ancestors built this. And then he could say that not King Tutankhamun, but see, we never put ourselves in front of God. We never named ourselves in front of God. We always said Amen first. We came after God. It's funny how we switched and called him Tutankhamun. What was his real name? And why was the significance of his name now switched from Tutankhamun, from Amen to Tutankhamun? That was something we never did. We never spoke our name before God's. So now you have him saying, no, Tutankhamun wasn't white. You look at that little black face.
He directed it at us, too, African Americans.
Oh, yes, he did, because we have no power. We're too goddamn busy not finding out our own spirituality. So they could always deny us. But you see, the face of that little boy Prince is undeniable. I could walk up and down the streets of Harlem and see his face on damn near every child I walk by. And yet still they're going to tell you he was not black. And what was he?
He didn't say.
White boy with a deep tan. That's what it was. Next please. Again, I will show you the beautiful black faces of your ancestors.
Baby? Yes, sir. You come a long way, baby. But we got a long way to go. Africa is named for Africanus, a white man. Ain't no good to put a white label on God's black product. Ain't gonna work. So you're gonna drop one white name, America, and pick up two white names. Make it real. Makes no difference about the color, black, brown, red, or yellow, whatever Jesse said, all that stuff. But bless his heart, he doesn't know any better. He's doing the best he can. He's just an opportunist baby.
A barbarian is somebody like Hannibal. So barbarians were Carthaginians. So I'll be a barbarian. I'll be that. Quicker than I'll be an African. Not because I don't like Africans. That's not the point. The point is Africa, as we understand it, was always used as a designation to describe Libya, which was the juncture point that we would use to control whoever else was living in the interiors of Africa, because all of our civilized peoples lived on the coast, going from Mauritania to Morocco to Algiers to Tunis to Tripoli, which is Libya, all the way to Egypt, all the way down to Havilah. I just showed you the map. Ethiopia, right? Always the coast areas, and then going in to the Far East. Everybody else that was on the interiors was Christians. These Africans was dealing with Christianism and tribalism, because they again were going through their own situations that had nothing to do with us outside of what we were doing in terms of the trading, trying to get the ones that was going to be civilized to adopt some sort of civilization, because civilization is a civilized nation.
Africans, like any other people, are cosmic entities. So what we do is cosmic. What people in Africa didn't necessarily start in Africa. They either channeled or brought it here from an older existence. So what we're doing with piercings, or what even with your pants law, or whatever the fuck it is, sometimes you have to look at the higher side and say, and maybe it comes from a certain frequency that they need. It's not, because really you're only judging pants down around your crack, pants on backwards, piercings, or any of these things based upon a moral standard that you created or was created for you. Because remember, I just told him the moral standard just changed when he was wearing his beard and his fucking Apple Jacks and his bell bottoms, which he did on the Cosby Show.
Africa. That's your seatbelt. Africa is not your home. Right. So come on. Right. Wait. Africa is your throne. Your home is 196,940,000 square miles. Your home is 716 billion miles throughout the distance of the sphere of light of the universe. That's your home. That's why this is your flag, the sun, moon, and star. Your flag is the universe. You're the original people. You're the people that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as you heard in the Quran, breathed his spirit into you and fashioned you from what is called black mud. You're that people. That's right. So your flag is the cosmos, the universe. Yes, the red, the black, and the green is our flag also, but this is your flag. Africa is the throne. But everywhere the white man went, we were already there. Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan teach us that we are the original black man and the original black woman. We are the original people of the planet Earth, that Africa is not our home. Africa is our throne. I'm going to repeat. Come on. Africa is not our home. Africa is our throne. Africa is the throne that we sat on, and we ruled the world from the throne called Africa today. If you would lay a flat map out and have the picture of the anatomy and the physiology of the body, and you could see the human heart set into the human body, and look at the flat map, you will see Africa in the same position on a flat map that the human heart is in the human body. So Africa was the throne that we sat on. And from Africa we pumped life to the world. From Africa we pumped civilization.
And other people in the world to do this. You understand? That's why niggas like these black so-called Pan-Africanists and these niggas, they all scammers. Because there is no such thing as Pan-Africanism. The Africans can't even get along with themselves. Look at what's happening with ECOWAS and the rest of the country. These were the Indians in Elvis's time. Elvis said he wanted to do a joint with real, a little clip or a movie with real Indians, and all of these Indians showed up. This is what the Indians looked like in Elvis' time. Because those is the people who own the towns and own the leases and own all of the shit. The white people.
Truth be told, at least Umar Johnson was trying to take steps towards making something manifest. And this is from the people who say they're here for the return of the old African manifestation of ways. No one's talking about that. They're still talking about the power of white supremacy, whether they call it that or not. And to talk about the power is actually to raise it up, even if you're talking about it disparagingly. You have to start making it visible. And your mind, you should know from Metaphysics 101. You should know from Oprah Winfrey at this point in the laws of attraction. One of the rules of this fucking dumbed down, watered down occult concept that came out of cause and effect, which are from the laws of Tahuti, which was watered down and dumbed down and renamed the Kabbalion. One of those things, cause and effect, which birthed the law of attraction.